Hey everybody, this is the Son of Hell. I'm just going to start off and apologize if this video is a little bit rough. I think I'm a little bit sick. I had to call out of work on a double shift, so just forgive me on this already. That's the only reason we're actually getting this video. This is my personal open response to Miss Felicia Day regarding her Tumblr post on the FeliciaDay.tumblr.com. The only thing I have to say about gamergate, the only thing I have to say about gamergate, my personal response to Felicia Day. I don't have a Twitter or any way of communicating, so if somebody wants to tweet this video to her, by all means do so. Just please be as polite as possible. And here we go. To Miss Felicia Day. #Gamergate. It has grown beyond what anyone thought it would be. What started out as a man sharing the pain of his girlfriend cheating on him multiple times and admitting to raping him has turned into a global battle over journalistic integrity on one side and gender politics on the other. People who never thought they would be a part of this issue, this movement, have been pulled inside this massive debate and action. Miss Day, I can only take your word for what you are saying on your part involving #Gamergate. You say that what has motivated these comments by you on your blog is the fact that while you were out having fun, you avoided a pair of gamers because of the fear that they were pro #Gamergate, and I'm going to have images of that in some of your other responses or your post. On this, and this is the only part I'm going to call you out on, if this were any other group out there, and anyone else telling the story about avoiding a black man, or a Muslim, or anyone else, I suspect you would call them out as a racist, a bigot, or so forth. But please do not take my words too harshly, because you yourself freely admit that you feel terrible about doing that. Let me just say, Miss Day, that admitting that you feel bad about avoiding those gamers because of that fear earns you the greatest respect from me, and with any luck, those who also support #Gamergate. Admitting when you have done wrong is a mighty step to take. It is to be admired by all. You speak of your fear. It is a fear that all gamers have felt, and non-gamers involved in this, especially those involved on behalf of #Gamergate. Many of those gamers have been doxxed, as you feared to be doxxed. And as I have heard, someone claims to have doxxed you on your own page, according to reports on the internet. The Fine Young Capitalist is a perfect example, doxxed by one of the very people #Gamergate has investigated and whose wrongs has spread Gamergate, and who inspired a lot of this, Ms. Zoe Quinn. To my knowledge, #Gamergate has not been a movement about doxing people. We value anonymity, and if it has spread personal info, it is only after disclosing those people's involvement in the corruption that has taken hold of games journalism. That being said, most of those who have been outed by #Gamergate have lived their lives publicly, and most of our voices speak out about how doxing does not help us. That you were doxed by someone using the name Gamergate is tragic, but I do ask you to hold judgment. It is easy to use false names and false flags, and those #Gamergate is struggling against are known for using abusive tactics and false flag operations. You talk about how after messaging one of the #Gamergate's victims, you received a flood of links about #Gamergate, and that they made you leave your social media for days. I suspect that much of that information you found too difficult to look at was evidence about what games journalism has been doing to gamers. Gamers like you, Miss Day. I do wonder if some of that information wasn't about the wrongdoings of the victim you tried to show sympathy to. While your compassion is noble, allowing your fear to blind you what they may have done, or what those they are supporting have done, is something I am sorry that you did. I would ask you to please do some research on what those who support #Gamergate have found. The Internet Aristocrat, Sargon of Akkad, and others they are tied to have done a wonderful job of gathering up-to-date information and presenting it respectfully. If nothing else, watch some of their videos, if only to learn what has been done to gamers to make them act this way. You love games, Miss Day. You speak at the end of your article about how we should not let a hateful minority of people silence us, destroy what it means to be gamers, and ruin a beautiful hobby and art. Miss Day, this is exactly what hashtag Gamergate and hashtag NotYourShield is about. It's about standing up to the hate, the sexism, and the racism that has flooded games journalism and turned it against its supposed audience. It is about not letting people ruin games with politics and gender discrimination. Hashtag Gamergate is about preserving games and gamer identity, not about destroying it and not about excluding anyone. It was games journalism that in a 2-day period published 10 or more articles about how the gamer identity was dead. This was not an action by hashtag Gamergate. Please, Miss Day, do not let your fear stop you from learning what hashtag Gamergate is about. Stand with us, as other celebrities have done, for truth, justice, honesty, and the love of an art that means so much to so many. And while yes, those who use the hashtag Gamergate tag to send out threats do exist, if those are honest members of hashtag Gamergate and not false flags, it is unacceptable. But please, know that if this is the case, they do so from pain and fear like you feel. They feel powerless against a group of people with more power and position, with greater voice and public presence, who seem to hold their art in an iron fist of politics and hatred for the very gamers they claim to speak for. Violence like that, while undesirable, is understandable. It is normal. And I would point out that every noble movement has had people like that inside it. Malcolm X is remembered now as a hero of the civil rights movement as much as Martin Luther King Jr. is. I am sorry for your fear. I am sorry if you experience pain from this, and I wish that you did not have to. But please, your own words are the words of those who support hashtag Gamergate. Your reason to stand by games and gamers is the reason of hashtag Gamergate and hashtag NotYourShield. Please, Miss Day, be brave and stand with your fellow gamers. Learn the truth of hashtag Gamergate from those in hashtag Gamergate, from gamers. Then if you will stand with us, congratulations, for we are glad to have you join us. And if you would remain hidden, then please, hide because you know the truth of what hashtag Gamergate fights against, not from your fellow gamers. I am the son of hell. I support hashtag Gamergate, and I support you, Miss Day. Hella bless.